Welcome to another Planet Coaster 2 update video. Just as I thought that I've seen everything, we've seen everything, and we've actually found every single detail, my little brother came across and pointed something out that I haven't seen, and I guess anyone else hasn't seen either. At least I haven't seen it in any of the videos. I may just not have looked into any of those. But in order to understand what we are talking about, we need to stop the trailer right over here, because this is actually just a normal image. But we've looked at so many things, like, you know, there's a slide in here, and obviously there is also all the scenery and better plants and better textures. And obviously we have a dive coaster confirmed, but also, and let me put a other picture from Planet Coaster 1 next to it, you can have a look at the legs of the people. And the legs of the people over here, you can clearly tell on the left-hand side, are hanging down accurately towards the ground, while in Planet Coaster 1, and I double-checked it with the footage you'll be able to see right now, they do not really have any crazy physics going on with like arms or legs. Like, it's animated, but it's not accurately, and no matter what they do. However, this little bit over here got me thinking, maybe the biggest overhaul in people is not the graphics, but actually the physics. And I've looked into all the other footage of old trailers and stuff like that. They never did this, and my brother was correct to point that out. This is a pretty new behavior, because we've never seen people having their legs and arms hanging down that way. And so I double checked all the stuff in Planet Coaster again, and well, he's right, it's not been in. Like, no matter what you have, even like some flat rides that go overhead and so on, people never really have their arms and legs hanging this way. And obviously we don't have any other footage to compare other than the trailer, but it definitely seems like this is a little hint that they have, like, it's so prominent in the trailer and it's very obvious, but no one has really talked about it. So very curious to see. But to not make this too overly dramatic, I have also looked into the people in general, and I found a couple of little things, nothing too crazy, so let's have a look into that. So I took myself some screenshots and images of the people in Planet Coaster 2 and obviously in Planet Coaster 1. So here you can see a comparison. Top left is Planet Coaster 2, and the bottom right and the, all the other pictures are from Planet Coaster 1, both in the highest resolution and highest graphics I could get. Obviously a screenshot on the left, and then in Planet Coaster 1 everything is from the game. And we don't need to go into very detail. The only thing I can say is that overall the models look a little bit more refined, the textures are a bit nicer. Specifically, you can see that when you look at the clothing, for example on the end of the arms or on the trousers and so on, it's all a bit more high graphics. Then we have a couple of new items, such like earrings and piercings and stuff like that, that you can see during the trailer and in the screenshots of Planet Coaster 2. These haven't been in Planet Coaster 1, so just overall making them a little bit better. But as I said, I think the biggest chance of the biggest improvement in the people is actually the animation and the physics simulation in these inside of the trains, inside of the rides. So that is obviously something that you don't notice firsthand, but it definitely is going to make a huge difference for the gameplay and for the authenticity, oh my god, what an English word, of the game. So yeah, I went through all the, we don't need to talk too much about it. I went through all the screenshots, and I tried to, I ran around Koali Beach 1 hour and tried to focus on all the guests and looking if there's anything. It seemed like there are also a couple of new haircuts and some new beards and beard variants, something like that you haven't seen in Planet Coaster 1. There's only like a couple of those. A lot of different shoes. So just in general, the versatility seems to be enlarged, and also specifically from that little girl, you can see the face and the hair, and also behind her, that vest that woman is wearing. Like, overall, it's a lot more improved in terms of the clothing, just a tiny bit more sharp, realistic, but overall, there's not that huge of a difference, honestly. But one thing I wanted to point out is a difference between two things we can actually have side by side, and talk about the graphics a little bit more, because we haven't really been doing that since the first videos, and it's been a bit calmer around this. And once I was looking at this to find some differences, I figured, hey, wait, that's a good example to speak about graphics. Alright, welcome King Coaster in both Planet Coaster 1 on the left and Planet Coaster 2 on the right. This is a 4K screenshot we got in both games, so I put them side by side and I tried to find the same time of day. It may actually be a tiny bit different. It should be around 12 PM or maybe 1 PM. I put it to 12 just because I thought that might actually be the time of day in the screenshot, as we don't really know. But there are a couple of things you can clearly notice, and I want to start first of all with the textures. Planet Coaster 1 did a great job when it came to the bump maps and stuff, but you can tell the differences if you look specifically to the coaster wrapping around its body or to the crown itself. The textures, every texture is so much more crisp and sharp, and there you can even see some scratch marks on the crown now in the gold, while on the left hand one is relatively flat, you know. But also there are some artifacts on the left hand side where you can clearly see that Planet Coaster 1 used a lot more bump maps and stuff to make depth appear where was really no depth, because, you know, they just needed a bump map or normal map to create that. So that's definitely something that has improved dramatically over the other one. Then you can also tell on the right hand side the overall depth and shadow and just the overall feeling of a plastic 3D item is so much crazier. Just look at the top right hand, you know, the hand with which King Coaster is waving. It looks super flat and super dull on the Planet Coaster 1 version versus the new version, which really looks like it gives you this feeling of a plastic hand, you know, that has depth, and the thumb is actually further to the front than the fingers are, and the fingers have like a lot more shadow. And I tried also playing around with some contrasts, but it really doesn't do the same. It definitely comes down to lighting, and the most dramatic difference you can actually spot is in the mouth section. Just look at the left hand side where the mouth actually looks a lot more yeah, like a texture almost, I would say, while on the right hand side you can really see the teeth are being more into the front, and then there is this shadow in the background where it's coming from the upper lip and so on, putting like a shadow to the ground and giving you this overall feeling of having an actual depth in the mouth, while the model, I guarantee you, is exactly the same. So you can definitely tell that the overall lighting model in this engine version is so much better. The same goes over the coaster wrapping around. If you look carefully to that, on the left hand side you can see that the depth is more created by the texture itself, and on the right hand side you can really feel and see those bumps of the coaster wrapping around the body. So like, it's really, if you look at this, it's really about the lighting and the engine having so much more detail. And also one thing for those of you who may not are so familiar with these type of things, just look at the leggings on the trousers, you know. This is another example of how a engine works better with lighting, because on the left hand side, the legs being in the shadow, basically everything glossy is gone from them, while on the right hand side you can definitely tell there is a certain, I'm definitely sure it's not going to be ray traced, okay? So I think it's just a better engine management with the lighting. But you can still see some glossiness in the trousers because you still have light coming back from the ground towards the trousers, so you wouldn't have it as dull as it is on the left hand side in the old engine, or in the old engine version I should say. And the same, by the way, goes over the feet. You can see that the shoes in the Planet Coaster 1 version, they seem glossy all of a sudden, while on the right hand side they are correctly not as glossy because sunlight is so heavy on them that you wouldn't see so much glossiness. It's actually just one white bright area. So overall, and also and this may also be in terms of lighting in general, just look at the top left-hand side of the crown. You can actually see the color and the lighting of the coaster wrapping around being reflected in the crown, while in the Planet Coaster 1 version you don't really have any reflective colors or whatever in there. So it's basically a bigger difference than you would have thought it is, and it's always in the details. Looking first of all at an image never gives you the same idea, but you know, my brother made me look at the people and so much more, so I was also checking the mascots out, and I feel like this is the most significant and most precise side-by-side comparison that I've done so far, and it gives me a lot of hope that the engine is really a lot better, because frankly, many people including me, had a bit of an, well, it's better, but is it that much better, you know, because these polished 4K screenshots you get from a game always look great. If you take them from Planet Zoo, for example, they also look stunning, and Planet Coaster 1, by the way, the same. So, you know, it's always good at looking really at the details. And specifically this King Coaster over here gives me an idea and a hope that maybe there is some sort of ray tracing in here. For those of you, just to make sure that everyone is in the same boat, ray tracing basically means that a game understands from where the light bumps back and analyze certain elements. Because usually in a game you have a light source and only from that light source things are lit. But realistically in real life, if you have a shiny surface, for example, it just reflects the light towards something else. And for example, if you've got a mirror and you put a lamp into the mirror, the light is reflected, and you could even have light at the back of a person, even though the light source is in front of the person. And that's something modern games do calculate within the engine and makes the overall appearance of a game so much more realistic. Planet Coaster 1 100% didn't have that. There are already some mods out there with like NVIDIA's ray trace modding that creates something like that for older games, including Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 I've seen lately. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, it just like really made me very positive about the changes, including, as we talked about earlier in this video, the lags and the overall physics being better. That's so cool. And also in here, the graphics being a lot more improved. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to make it even more longer now, but I felt like it's some significant stuff we've seen here. And now I promise it's the last video before Wednesday. I can't tell you how excited I am for Wednesday's feature drop, and be excited because I know it's something completely new, which is really cool. I can't wait to see that. So for now, we are all in the same boat because we all will see it the first time in the Frontier Unlocked. So let's be all there in the wonderful chat and enjoy that one. Until then, have a good time. And you know, if you want to have all the news and all the good stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I will be covering everything. And I talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.